Hey everyone, my name's Jason, and in today's presentation, I'm going to talk about how to crush your first 100 days as a product marketing team of one. And the idea here is that either it's your first product marketing role or you've stepped into a new organization as their first product marketer, or both. But the idea is, what are some of those key things that you can do to really hit the ground running and start to position yourself as like a key strategic stakeholder within the business? And product marketing is interesting because while the concepts have been around a long time, in my opinion, product marketing is still kind of relatively new as a function within any business. And I've always worked in SaaS, and especially in SaaS. And so every company, product marketers do different things, and it's not always like the most defined role. And there's so many things that you can do. So I want to give you some tips and guidance on what are some of the things you can try to do first. So again, my name's Jason. I live in Collingwood, Ontario right now. I'm born and raised in Newfoundland, but I'm a Canadian, and I've been in B2B SaaS for just over 10 years. So over half of that time, about 6-ish years, have been as a product marketer. So before that, I was in sales, I did CS, a couple other roles within marketing, but I found product marketing, and that was it for me. So I started product marketing at Uberflip, product marketer of one there, built out the team at Uberflip. Then I joined Chili Piper and did the same thing there, started product marketing at Chili Piper and built out a team there. And just recently left Chili Piper actually to join the team at Clue. And so at the time that you watch this video, I'm going to be, I think, in my first week at Clue. And I'm super excited. One, because Clue's awesome team, amazing product. But also as a product marketer, selfishly, I now get to market a product to product marketers, which I'm super excited about. So I'll be joining the team at Clue and building out the product marketing function there. So I guess you could say like my niche as a product marketer is starting as a product marketer of one and building out a team from there. And so I've been able to do that at 2 companies now, excited to do it at Clue. So if you are interested in chatting product marketing or kind of have questions about building out your own product marketing team, definitely hit me up on LinkedIn. Happy to chat. Always love chatting about product marketing. And I'll be sharing a couple of templates and things like that today. And if you want those, definitely let me know. And just shoot me a message on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to share them. So this was definitely me when I started in product marketing. I'm sure for many of you, it's similar. I was in CS. I was asked by our CMO to hey, join product marketing, start our product marketing team. And at the time, I assumed product marketing was marketing about the product. But other than that, I had no idea what it did. He explained it to me as you're mostly dealing with go-to-market, and that made it even worse because I had no idea what go-to-market meant. So I feel like since then, it's been a journey of me every day learning a little bit more. And even still, every day, I'm still learning more about, that's like a key important part of go-to-market. Like these kind of lights go off in your head. And really, it's just been a journey since of me just learning as much as I could about what is product marketing, what is go-to-market, and what's my job really. So the big thing is you want to avoid getting stuck here of like, what do I do? Where do I start? Because you can very quickly just start to get requests and you end up being the person who creates pretty decks. And that's not where you want to be as a product marketer. So today I'm going to focus on 8 things you can do to crush your first 100 days as a product marketer. And these are things that I'm going to be doing at Clue. So it's not just nice ideas. These are things that I've actually done in the past and plan on doing in my next role that I'm about to start. So number 1 is to know your product. So as a product marketer, you're not only the expert, like you need to be the expert in the marketing team about your product, right? Because you're who they look to when it comes to product expertise. But also too, you need to show and have credibility with the sales team and the CS team. There's nothing worse than as a product marketer, you're working on a release and it's clear to the people that you're enabling that you don't know the product as well as them. So a couple of things that I always do is study the recordings that you have in the company. So 3 big things: product demos, implementation calls, and product trainings. You don't have to watch every recording that ever existed. Just find 1, 2 of the best ones. For example, with product demos, look for a couple of recordings from like your top sales reps and just study them. And the idea is you want to get to the point where you can present a demo as good as your top rep. 2 is get to know your demo instance. So get in there, right? And just kind of look under the hood and get to know the demo instance and how the product works. if you're lucky, and why I'm excited to go to Clue is because it's going to be a product that I have to use anyways, so I'm going to be forced to get in there and champion the product. But you're not always as lucky as that, but you want to get in there and you want to like create your own workspace and really just get to know the demo instance, because it's going to be a tool that you need to use a lot. Set a goal for yourself in the first 60 days to record a demo. And the idea there is not that you're going to put it up on the website. It's not like a piece of content that you're sharing externally, but it's going to put you in that awkward place where you need to like step outside your comfort zone and know enough about the product to hit record and record a demo. And I definitely encourage you to do that. Recording a demo is going to be a great way to, you kind of learn by teaching. And so being able to like hit record and actually show someone the product is going to force you to know it. And you'll improve from there, and you can always watch back and make, tweaks and adjustments. But you want to force yourself to record a demo in the first 60 days. So that's number one. Number two is build key relationships. So part of being a product marketer is that you're this kind of like connective tissue, glue within the company that holds and the lines of communication between all these different teams. I'm sure everyone's seen a diagram like this or this one or something like it. But product marketing really is at the center of like product, CS, sales, marketing. And so you need to have good relationships with all of them, right? So identify your key stakeholders, people who have credibility within the company, been around like the longest, have that respect in the business, and just identify who they are and start to have chats with them. Your first 100 days, it's a great time. You have the opportunity to like set up coffee chats with these people and really just get to know them. The idea is to try to figure out who those like sponges of information and insights are in the business, but also the people who are just down to work with you. So the ones who are like open to collaboration and just are like a friendly ear or someone who you can work with. And you want to start to build relationships with those people. And you do that by like providing value to them, just trying to have a couple of like early opportunities where you can provide value to them and just build your social capital in the company. But you really want to start working on those key relationships. 3 is to know your competitors. Now, I'm stepping into a competitive, like a company where that is the leader in competitive enablement, but so I am definitely excited to level up in terms of my competitive intel and competitive enablement abilities. And I know I'm going to get schooled when I join the team at Clue. But know your competitors. When you step into your role as a product marketer, you don't need to understand the entire landscape. I'm not saying you need to do a deep dive on every competitor even, but you want to create battle cards for at least your 2 to 3 main competitors, right? And so these are not necessarily, like I said, deep dives. These are those quick hit, what do you need to know about a competitor to be able to compete? And these are resources for your sales team when they're either before they hop on a call or while they're on a call to be able to effectively have like the information they need at their fingertips. I created a template. Let me pull it up here. So I created this battle card template based on the things that I have always liked to include in my battle cards. And so this is it's very quick. Not a ton of information in here. It's really like the necessary quick hit information a rep would need as they are about to hop on a call or if a competitor comes up on a call. This is also, I formatted it so if you ever want to print it, it prints nicely on like one 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. But feel free to use this template. If you'd like it, send me a DM on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to share it with you. But this is based on a lot of the insights from the team at Clue. So they created this great piece of content that talks about the 8 things you need to know about competitors. So I'll go through them quick. One is their opening differentiator. So like, what is the thing they hang their hat on as like their key differentiator, why they win, and just knowing that so that you know how to address it, right? Or you know how to kind of handle that objection or that question when a prospect has a question about that like key differentiator. Also knowing the cue to listen for so that they're definitely talking to that competitor if they bring up this question or this key differentiator. One is how they fare in the particular prospect's like segment or industry. So you might know for a rep, it's important to know that like a competitor is great in SaaS, but maybe they're weak in healthcare. If they're working on a healthcare deal, that's a valuable piece of information. The go-to landmines, so those like pieces of doubt or those key questions that your competitor is going to arm your prospect with to ask you and knowing how to address those. and what to listen for, again, to know that they're talking to that competitor. Your most recent wins against them, and then also customers that have churned. I call those like switchers, but also understanding why, so you can tell those stories. Those are like valuable stories you can tell when you're talking to your prospect and under the lens of that competitor. Their biggest strength or their biggest flaw, or I like to think of it as why we lose and why we win. And then their pricing strategy. Not necessarily like price point by price point, but knowing like overall their high level strategy, like what their pricing like model is based on. Maybe they're like key pricing metrics, but also just knowing if they discount a lot, right? Like, do they deep discount to try to win competitive deals, and being able to kind of know that's going to happen. So these 8 things really inspired that template there. So if this all sounds right to you, hit me up. I'm happy to share that template. Another thing I'd encourage you to do is create a competitive Slack channel, or like Teams or whatever. But whatever your internal chat tool is, create a competitive channel. One, so that you can share information. So created these new battle cards, boom, pop them in the channel. 2 is just anytime you're able to proactively find out a piece of information about your competitors, new press release, a new launch, you're able to drop it in the competitive intel channel. And then the other thing is that it's a great way for you to get information from your sales team. So I've used these channels, and it's been a great way, because you're delusional if you think that you're going to be the first one to find out all the information about your competitors. There's just no way. Your sales team is boots on the ground. They're getting to this stuff before you do. So embrace that and have a way so that they're able to get that information to you, so that then you have the info you need to be able to update battle cards. So if you are lucky to have a platform like Clue, then their tools, they have a lot of tools to help you automate this and do it at scale. What I'm showing you here is if you're stepping into a brand new product marketing team and an org that doesn't have a tool like Clue, a platform like Clue to help you with competitive enablement, these are some simple things to start with. But if you are lucky, or if you're interested in Clue for your competitive enablement needs, then hit me up, let me know. I'm definitely happy to help you kind of navigate that and show you what it can do. So, know your competitors. 4 is put your positioning on paper. So you're going to step into a company. Obviously, their positioning exists. Like, I'm sure, just like, they definitely obviously have a way that they position themselves. Like, so there's positioning that you can understand, but it might not be on paper. It might not be defined in, say, a document. And so it's your opportunity to come in and really take the positioning, have key conversations with everyone internally to understand how they position their product or their service, and being able to define that so that the rest of the company can benefit from having this like one source of truth. So first thing I'd encourage you to do is read Obviously Awesome, April Dunford's book. I'm sure if you're in product marketing, you've heard about this or about April. She talks about positioning in a really great way. She defines it as positioning defines how your product is the best in the world and providing some value that your best fit customers care a lot about. Right? I think that's a perfect definition of positioning. And if you go to April's website, again, I love templates. I'm going to try to show you as many as I can. You go to her website, aprildunford.com/obviously awesome. Just fill out this form here, and you're going to get access to all of these great messaging and positioning templates. So one of the ones I like is the messaging exercise. If you're stepping into a company, go through this messaging exercise and really use it as a way to map out, right, exactly how to position their product, key messaging that you can use. And again, it's doing the job of coming in and taking positioning that probably already exists, right? You're not going to go through a whole repositioning exercise or like anything like that in your first 100 days, although that's something you might want to try to do as a bigger project. But it's really just taking what they have and being able to put that on paper and help define it for the company. Another thing, and this is another template that I created here, this is one that I like to use, and this is more for kind of like when you're looking to do positioning and messaging for like a particular product release. Or like a big launch that you're working on. And so this is used to be able to get messaging out in front of, say, like your sales team or the teams that you enable within your company. And this could be a deck that you could present, maybe something that you record and then share the deck afterwards. I've done both, but I personally, for things like this, a deck works really, really well, where you're able to include things like taglines, and you're able to include, imagery and things like that to help like visuals that they can use, all this kind of key information, and be able to present it in a deck that's maybe like 10 slides. And it's a little bit different. It's a lighter lift than building out like a full positioning and messaging document. So, and it's more actionable than something like that. A sales team, in my experience, responds more, is able to more effectively utilize like a deck like this. So if this, check out this template. Again, hit me up. I'm happy to share it. And I've got like a video here recorded to kind of walk you through it and talk about like my methodology for utilizing this brief. Number 5 is to define a launch process. So you're going to step in, and as a product marketer, it's most likely your job to plan and execute like go-to-market launches right down to like a feature release, right? So the whole kind of release and launch process. And so it's important to understand not every launch is the same. It doesn't require the same tactics and actions that you're going to take, like go-to-market actions. And so it's important to get in and to define, like set a framework and a process around how you're going to approach these different launches. And so you've probably seen a diagram like this. This is talking about like a tiered approach to product launches and releases. And it breaks it down into like 3 tiers: P1, P2, P3. P1 being your top tier. It's the largest, involving like new functionality, revenue generating opportunities. It's like your big stuff that you want to make sure you make a bang with and make a big splash. So these are big launches. Tier 2, it's usually something net new, but it's mostly significant to your existing customer base. And then Tier 3 is more like table stakes improvements, right? Things that already exist out there in the market. It's nothing that's like new. No one's going to buy your product because you have this new release. And it might be noticed by existing customers, if that. And so I'll pop over to this template here. This is a template that you can use as kind of like a tool to help walk through the process of thinking about, okay, what tier should a release fall into? Now, this was inspired by a few different things. One of the things that definitely inspired this template here was Andrew Stinger, who did a great presentation in the last Winter Games. So thanks, Andrew, for that, because this kind of inspired this template. Or I guess I've taken things that you did in yours and added it to like my tiering process. But this is a great template that you can use to go through and walk through a number of key questions and have a score at the end where you're able to say, okay, this is like the recommended tier for this release, but then obviously you get to make a final decision. And it's just a tool that you can use to help decide what tier something should fall into. But then on top of that, having kind of predefined, call it a menu, so that you know if something's a P1, these are the key things. So, obviously this is a process you'd have to go through of going and saying, for our P1s, we want to include all the time at least an email, a press release. We want to have a landing page. You don't always have to do it for every P1, but again, it's a guide, it's a template, so you're not always starting from scratch of like, what do we do for this launch? So you can come through here, use this template, and check the boxes on P2s, we do this, P1s, we do this, P3s, we do this, and maybe there's some things we don't want to announce and we just update, say, the support documentation. So encourage you to check out that template. Again, happy to share it. But some of the questions to consider when you're actually thinking about what tier to put something in is, do we want users to know about it? Who will it apply to, like prospects and customers, maybe just customers? How strategic is it to the business? What will the impact be? How easily is it detected by a user? How disruptive is it to their common flows? Like, how beneficial is it to existing users? Like, how big of a change is it going to be for them when they hop into the app and this release has been put live? Like, are they going to notice it? Are you going to have to tell them about it so that it's not such a jarring change? And then how much lead time do you have? You could check all the boxes above, but it could be something that you only have a day to do, so you can't do a P1. Number 6 is to set up your channels. I'm just going to take a sip. Great. Number 6 is to set up your channels. And these are like your internal communication channels, is what I mean by that. So a couple of things that have worked well for me. One is an internal newsletter. It's something at Chili Pepper called The Sauce. Did a newsletter at Uberflip as well. And it was like a great way to get information out to everyone in the company. So this email showed up in your inbox Monday morning, and it had a breakdown of like revenue, key metrics from the past week, product updates, marketing updates. If there's anything interesting on a competitor, it was in there. It was like a great way to get information out to the team in like a consistent way that they expected. Another is in Slack, right? So you're going to have your key channels where you want to get, they're like your key Slack channels or teams or whatever for communicating about specific things. Jeez, hard to get that out. So first one we had was product marketing updates. And this is just a channel that you would have to get marketing updates out to the team. That's like new content that we've created, new resources, launches that we're planning or working on, and just keeping everyone in the loop. So that was updates. We even started to use it to share like works in progress and get feedback. Another one is competitive intel or competitive channel. And this is somewhere where I talked about it before. You can share competitive information, but also receive it from the team. Pricing help. At Chili Pepper, we handled pricing. And so this was a channel that we'd communicate about pricing updates, but also the team could come in and ask questions. If they're working on a deal and a particular use case comes up and they're wondering how to price it out, that was a great channel they could drop it in. For us, when we're ever working on like a tier 1 launch, we would have a particular channel created for that go-to-market, because we'd also create a committee for that launch. And this was like an offline channel that we could, like when we're not in a meeting, communicate and collaborate with that group. And then the last one is the PMM chat. And that is for us to be able to just collaborate with the product team. So product marketers, product management, we're in this channel together. And then the last thing was our enablement huddle. And so the idea with our enablement huddle is that it was a bi-weekly meeting. Everyone was on it. Everyone in the company was invited, but the expectation that was at least customer-facing roles would attend it, because it's an opportunity for product and product marketing to inform them about like upcoming product updates, give them demos, like early demos of things that were about to be released. It was a way for us to, the product marketing team, to give updates on like big launches we were working on and any like messaging or positioning training we needed to provide. It was like a great standing meeting to be able to do that in. And then it was like a good way to get feedback too from the sales team. So they could be like, here's what we're seeing, here's something we need, like a tool or a piece of content. And so it was a good way to get that feedback. Number 7 is to audit your content. So when you hop on board into product marketing role, there's definitely a lot of, I'm sure there's collateral and content that exists. There's likely like a sales deck. There's likely some, presentations or like one-pagers, customer stories that have been created. So it's good to get in and take stock of everything that you have, and you can do that in doing a content audit. So another template here, encourage you to check out. It's just a very simple like content library, like audit template here. And so you go through, you take stock of everything that you have listed along the left, and then you'll have to update this. But it's like, okay, have all your buyer personas and you check which boxes it applies to. Same thing with your key value props, your different formats, or like stages of the buyer journey. Right, top of the funnel, middle, bottom. And so once you go through and do this audit by saying, okay, what content do we have for this buyer persona? What content do we have for this value prop? You'll start to see gaps or areas where you're really like lacking content, and you can start to try to fill those. Or you can I encourage you to have key conversations, like conversations with some key members of the sales team, like some of the top performing reps, and really just understand like where are the gaps. And from here, you can really start to have some early wins where you're creating some of those like need to have pieces. I know when I joined Chili Pepper, there was a lack of customer stories. It gave me a really great opportunity to like gain credibility with the sales team and get them excited about having me there by churning out some customer stories like right away. It's a good opportunity to get a quick win with the sales team. And so I'd encourage you to do a content audit. And from that, again, if you have a sales enablement tool, like a tool where you're going to store your content and everyone can access it and you have metrics to track and all that, then awesome. Kudos to you. But if you don't, where I started was creating a Google Drive where I just had all of our collateral. So for us, it was, I had it organized by like case studies. I had product images or GIFs that they could drop in an email. So we had it all in our collateral drive, which is just like a shared drive on Google. And again, this was a big win because they never had one central place where all of it was organized. So being able to create that for them was a first step to being able to, one, like take stock of what we have, but two, get it out to the sales team in like a more digestible, like easy to navigate way. And last is to find your tools and templates. So I definitely don't encourage you to hop into a product marketing role and build everything from scratch. Right? You can save yourself a ton of time, a ton of headache, and actually make use of like best in class, like well thought out templates and frameworks and tools to help you just hit the ground running and do a great job without having to invest in creating things from scratch. So that's the Death Star on the right. Even the Death Star started with a blueprint, but you can have templates and frameworks for things like battle cards, positioning and messaging, decks that you need to create. Obviously, you're going to be creating a lot of decks, customer stories, one-pagers, landing pages. Find your best tools, frameworks, and templates and just start collecting them over your product marketing career. I know I've collected a ton as I've gone, and I take them wherever I go, and I'm able to use them again. So it saves me a ton of time, and you're able to hit the ground running. So I've shown you a lot of templates today. I have some of my favorite tools. I'll show you a couple here, but definitely connect with me on LinkedIn if you are interested in any of these templates, and I'm happy to share them. Just shoot me a message and I'll share everything I got. So, but a couple of my favorite tools are, one, Cloud App. So I'd encourage you, get your own screen recording tool, find whatever, there's a bunch out there. For me, it's Cloud App. It does screen capture, it does screen recording. It also, why I love it so much is it has a GIF maker. And I'm a big fan of GIFs, and I use it to create GIFs that the sales team would drop in a Cadence email, or I'd use in a presentation. So GIFs I'm a big GIF fan. So Cloud App is my go-to for that. Another one is Photopia, not sure how to pronounce it, but it's like a free online Photoshop. So I don't need to have I don't have Photoshop on my computer. If I do, I never use it. And this is like the basics, everything I need to create a thumbnail for a video, or just do basic design work. Also, Canva is a really great tool, but this is more of a Photoshop that's all web-based, and it's free, so that's great. Papier is just a very simple free Chrome extension. Get it. Anytime you open a new tab in Chrome, you'll basically have a free, you'll have a notes tab, and it saves. So every time you open a new tab, it just picks up where you left off with all your notes. It's great for being on meetings, being able to jot down quick notes that you want to move over to some better note-taking tool later. But I just find it's been super helpful for me. You have to take a lot of notes. You want to write down some copy really quick. You want to draft out an email. I use Papier all the time. And then the last one's the Hemingway app. So Hemingway app, for me, I'm not a copywriter by trade, but I do have to write a lot of copies, a product marketer. And so Hemingway app is just a really great tool as my editor in a way. It's all about making your copy more punchy, less run-on sentences. And so all the just kind of great best practices when it comes to copywriting. And so when you write your copy, just paste it into this app here, and it'll highlight areas of improvement for you. So I use that all the time, and I'd encourage you to use it too. So that's it. So hopefully these 8 things, I gotta think that you're able to take at least one of them, and that's my hope. If you can take more, then that's awesome. But as you start your journey as a product marketer, I wish you luck. I wish you all the best. And if you do have questions, hit me up and connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to chat. And if any of these templates look like they might be useful for you, get in touch, and I'm happy to share them. Connect with me on LinkedIn /Oakley Jason. And good luck, and thanks for watching.